Hey everybody, it's Brian Fleming and welcome back to the Marriage Battle Plan video series where we teach you how to communicate clearly in your marriage so your marriage will make it, so it'll last, so your marriage doesn't have to suck because let's face it, you and I know a lot of people who are married and they're just not happy and it's usually having to do with something pertaining to communication or the lack of it. So today I want to talk to you about a great topic, how to get your spouse to agree with you. Yeah, this is really good. Once you know how to do it, once you know some of these things, it's really helpful. But I want to preface this so nobody gets the wrong idea about this. All right, sometimes this works, but not always. All right, nothing works forever. Nothing works every time. That's just not realistic. And at the same time, it all depends on really how persuasive of a person you are and how good of an argument or a case you can make for your spouse that shows them that this is a good decision for us. All right. The second thing is that you need to understand this is not manipulation. All right, some people might think, well, you're teaching me how to persuade my spouse to do something. You know, am I going to be manipulating them? No. And if you know me, you know I would never teach that. And here's the difference. There's persuasion, there's manipulation, call it whatever you want. Manipulation is this. It's when you do something for your benefit and to the detriment or the disadvantage of somebody else. I would never advise you to do that, obviously. And you shouldn't. And you shouldn't use any of these things to sort of get yours at the expense of your spouse. Like you're in even worse shape at that point. All right. So this is more about persuading your spouse to see things your way so that you can both enjoy more things in the world and in your marriage. All right. Instead of arguing all the time, maybe you can just agree more often. All right. So I'm going to tell you what these little 5 steps are. I have them written down on a little note card here because it's easy that way. Then I'm going to give you an example. All right, just a real life example so you can see how you can start putting this into practice in your marriage, in your relationship. All right, so getting your spouse to agree with you. Well, number one, the first thing you have to get very clear on is what exactly is it that you want? What do you want? Every guy watching this right now is going, Brian, I've asked my wife what she wants to eat for dinner and I can never get it out of her. All right, either way, that's a joke, but you know it's true. All right. Get clear on what exactly is it that you want. All right? What is it? Just say what it is. Don't make it complicated. Don't make it cute. Just be very clear. What do you want? Number 2, how can what you want benefit your spouse? Everyone's asking this question when it comes to decisions. They're asking, what's in it for me? They want to know how it's going to benefit them. And some people will be very self-righteous and they'll say, well, I don't think that way. No, you do. You're human. You're wired that way. It's survival, all right? So how can what you want, that we talked about in number 1, can it benefit your spouse and help them avoid something, maybe a pain point or a disadvantage or something that they don't want to have to face or a negative pain point in life or in some area of their life. So how can what you want benefit your spouse and help them avoid something they don't want to have to face? Number 3, reveal a possible practical plan to make it happen. So plans are best in the military. When we have a mission plan, there's a 5-paragraph op order, it's called. That's how you plan a mission. All right. And at marriagebattleplan.com, that's how we talk about, we've adapted that to marriage communication, communicating with your spouse in your marriage, those same battlefield strategies. But the best missions, the best plans, there's like 3 to 5 steps usually. And it's simple. It's just lined out because when people get confused or it's too inundated, it requires too much work, they stop thinking, they get frustrated. So when you present this to your spouse, whatever this thing is you want, you need to present a very simple plan for how we can make this happen. All right, present it so it comes off as easy. It's very simple. It's not going to require a lot to get this. All right, so 3 to 5 steps and that should do it. Number 4, paint a mental picture of an ideal outcome that this can get them. Remember, whenever you're trying to persuade anybody of anything, what is their life going to look like? How is their life going to be better? What's their life going to look like ideally in the way that they want it to as a result of getting the thing that you're wanting to get? All right, if you can tell me why if my business is going to grow if I pay you for a 1-hour consulting session, okay, you say, Brian, you're going to have 10 more customers in the next 7 days that are going to pay you, $1,000 each if you do this $500 consulting with me. That's just a wild business example. I just made it up. But now you're speaking my language because you're talking about like this outcome. Like I don't have to imagine. I can see how good life will be now. All right. And so paint that mental picture of what an ideal outcome for them might look like, that they might want. Because remember, you're trying to get them to agree with you. And then 5, ask them to pursue it with you. In sales, we call this a call to action. It's where you very clearly state you ask for the sale, like buy now, register here. You say, let's get this going, sign here. If you're doing a contract or something. So now for the example. This is just one real life practical example. Now, when I'm reading you these 5 points, this real life example, I want you to think about what these are in your life and how these could apply. That way, next time you talk to your spouse about something you want, you can actually plan it and you can go right down these numbers here, 1 through 5, and it's very easy. So here's the example. Let's say you want a new car. Doesn't matter if it's used or pre-owned or brand new, it's new to you. You don't like the car you have, you want a different car to drive. All right, well, number 2, so that was number 1, identify what you want. You want a different car, a new car. Number 2, how can what you want benefit your spouse or help them avoid something that they don't want to have to deal with? Well, you could say, we're spending more about your current car. You could say something like, if this is true, we're spending more money to fix this car we have right now than it's even worth. So in other words, you're throwing away money. And B, it's embarrassing when we pull into church or work or the grocery store and have to be seen in this thing. All right, so we're talking to like what they want. Nobody wants to look bad. Nobody wants to be embarrassed. If you're wasting money on this thing, nobody wants to waste their money and throw it away. All right. Number 3, we talked about a practical plan. 3 or 5 steps. I just wrote 3 here. So you're telling your spouse you want the new car. You're dumping more money into your current one than it's even worth. You're throwing away money. That's embarrassing when you're out in public. But now, what's the plan? Well, 3 steps for this one. Hey, you know what? We just got our tax return. I'm making this up. Maybe it's like May or June. We just got our tax return. We can combine that tax return with the $2,000 we saved up already in the savings. And look, I already found 5 great cars in great condition online that we could go look at this week or tomorrow or even today. So we just got our tax return. We can combine that tax return with the $2,000 we've already saved. And I've already found 5 awesome cars that are in great condition that we can go look at right now. So those are 3 very simple steps. Very simple laid out. Number 4 is paint a mental picture of an ideal outcome that they might want. Well, you might say something like this. If this was true, and think in your own situation, you might say something like, remember how people always used to compliment you on that old car or whatever it was? Like maybe you used to have a Mustang and you could say, do you remember how people used to compliment you on your Mustang or on your Camaro or on your truck? Whatever it is. Again, I'm making this up. This is a made up scenario. All right. But if someone said that to me, if my wife said that to me, if she wants a new car and people used to say, Brian, remember when we had that little 2-seater Mercedes convertible and people always used to come up to us and ask us like about it? Or with the blue Mustang, and they're like, man, what kind of pipes do you have on that thing? It sounds amazing. That feels really good. People enjoy having people come up to them and ask them about something that's great that they have. All right, so this is an outcome that pretty much everybody wants to some point. It's not that you have to be full of ego, but let's face it, people like compliments. We're human. All right, and so the 5th step is ask them to pursue it with you. Like again, I said in sales, this is a call to action. All right. So in this scenario, in this case, you might say something like, "Would it be all right to go look at some safe, reliable, great-looking cars we can afford tomorrow?" Because remember, you want this person, you want your spouse to feel included in this decision. They want to win with you. They don't want you going around their back or behind their back, but include them in it. That's important. Not only that, you have to be very clear on what's our next step. All right, whenever you're trying to get an agreement out of somebody, whether it's your spouse or anybody, when you get to the end, you never leave the conversation open-ended. You bring it to a point and you call to action. You do something, you compel action out of them. There has to be a yes or no decision. that's the kind of question you want to ask. So you might say, would it be all right to go look at some safe, reliable, great looking cars that we can afford tomorrow? That's it. So how to get your spouse to agree with you. 1, identify very clearly what it is you want. 2, how can what you want benefit your spouse? They're thinking, what's in it for me? And how can it help, or how can it help them avoid a pain point they don't want to have to face? All right, number 3, reveal a possible practical plan to make it happen. Very simple, just 1, 2, 3. Like if there were 3 major steps to get from where you are now to where you want to be, what would those 3 biggest major steps be? Number 4, paint a mental picture of an ideal outcome that this can get them. If you get what you want, this is what a success or an ideal outcome for them looks like, because now you have vested interest from them because you know what they want, and wow, they now see your desire as getting them what they want as well. And then number 5, ask them to pursue it with you so they feel included and you're very clear on the next action to take. These are 5 simple steps that you can use to get your spouse to agree with you. Now, if you want more great advice on how to communicate clearly with your spouse so your marriage will last, you can actually enjoy it, so your marriage doesn't have to suck, all right, just go to marriagebattleplan.com, sign up for the course, and also check out the free resources we have. The course is in and out right now. We have it open and closing, so it may be available, it may not be. Just check it out. But also we have some free resources on there that are going to help you communicate clearly. Like some people, they don't put a lot of effort into their marriages. They don't put a lot of effort in what they do. They don't spend any money enhancing their marriages. And we have free stuff on there, so you don't have to spend anything. But I just have this question for you. If you're at a point in your marriage and things are not working, if what you're doing right now isn't working, why not try something else? Why not? So check us out at marriagebattleplan.com, where my wife Jamie and I are going to help teach you and your spouse how to communicate clearly so you can enjoy your marriage.